Hey Minot, 2020 is the year for more. Yes, it's the U.S. Census season, and with it, Minot could see more. More opportunities for business, more federal funding for roads, for our schools, and for our community. Take part in something more. Take the census, because for us, more means more. Visit minotnd.org to learn more.
Call the March 3rd, 2020 meeting of the Planning Commission to order. Call the roll, please.
Barnett. Bauman.
Here.
Bollinger.
Yes.
Demakis.
Yes.
Hochhalter.
Yes.
Coop. Offerdahl.
Yes.
Severson. Wagonist.
Yes.
All right, we have a quorum.
You're good. Stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next on the agenda is approval of the February 4th, 2020 minutes of the regular meeting. Motion by Coop to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Bauman. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Okay. Bauman.
Yes.
Bollinger.
Yes.
Demakis.
Yes.
Hochhalter.
Yes.
Coop.
Yes.
Offerdahl.
Yes.
Wagonist.
Yes.
All right.
Very good. Motion passes. The first item of business tonight is a subdivision plat and rezone from AG and C2 to C2 only. And this request is made by, excuse me if I get this wrong, Kayla and Devin Schmidt, to subdivide a portion of the northwest quarter of the northwest quarter and a portion of the southwest quarter of the northwest quarter in Section 25, Township 156 North, Range 83 West, to create proposed outlot 15 containing 50 acres, more or less, and to rezone proposed outlot 15 from AG and C2 to C2 only, and amend the future land use map of the comprehensive development plan of the city of Minot to commercial for proposed outlot 15. This property is located on the east side of US 83, approximately 700 feet south of 72nd Avenue, extending south for 1,980 lineal feet, more or less, with a mailing address of 800 72nd Avenue Northeast. Turn over to city staff for the report, please.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This property is at the very fringe of our 2-mile jurisdiction. 72nd Avenue across the top is actually where the border is, the north border line. It's a 129-acre tract altogether. You can see it here in the blue and the red. Altogether, it's 129. What the applicant would like to do is split off an outlot to be known as Outlot 15, which is shown in the blue. The remainder that's in red would remain with the family. There's a farmhouse there, but it would just be an agricultural piece because it's bigger than 20 acres. So it's kind of interesting. In 1993, I think it was, the city took this into the 2-mile jurisdiction from the county. And at that time, the county had zoned about 300 and whatever that number is, 300 and some feet to commercial, and then the rest of it was still agricultural. And the family that owns it now wanted to split off this outlot 15 with commercial highway frontage, and they actually have 1,100 feet back from the road. So we have a situation where there's two different zonings on this proposed outlot, and that doesn't work. So we basically need to scoot the C2 line on the east side over to match the eastern boundary of the outlot and zone that all to C2. The remainder will remain agricultural. The land use map doesn't extend far enough north to cover this, but we felt it was important to show outlot 15 on the land use map as a commercial tract, since it does have highway frontage. And when we do the next comprehensive plan update, we'll make sure and cover that. The rest of the area up there is basically low-density residential at this time. Here's the plat of outlot 15. It contains 50 acres, and like I said, it's 1,100 feet deep off of the highway. So findings of fact. The applicant submitted a complete application. The request is consistent with the comp plan as far as we know. It's highway frontage, so commercial makes sense. This request meets all the bulk requirements of the zoning ordinance. And then number 4 is kind of the legalese in the code that talks about meeting public notice requirements for rezonings that we legally noticed and posted this, and it meets the requirements of North Dakota Century Code and the city of Minot's local ordinances. So for recommendations and conditions, we recommend approval of the land use map amendment to designate this outlot as commercial, to rezone it to C2, and to approve outlot subdivision to be known as outlot 15 in section 25, township 156 north, range 83 west. There's some conditions here. All the access points onto the US Highway 83 and any associated frontage or access roads must be approved by the North Dakota Department of Transportation in coordination with the city as part of the future site plan. Also, a stormwater management plan is required for future development. And then this is again from the code standard language about a subdivision that it has to follow certain procedures with the city engineer and in order to be recorded at the county recorder's office. So that's kind of boilerplate language that we like to include in there. So with that, I would be, one more thing. Again, this is more of the same about satisfying the requirements of our ordinance and being able to record it. So with that, I'd be glad to answer any questions you might have.
Is there any questions for staff? All right, seeing none, we will open the public hearing. Is there anybody who wishes to speak for this application? Please come forward. All right, seeing none, is there anybody who wishes to speak for or against this application? Please come forward. Seeing none, we will close the public hearing and move it to the commissioners.
Motion to approve based on staff finding of fact, recommendations, and conditions.
Motion by Commissioner Wagness to approve based on findings, facts, and recommendations. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Coop. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Bauman,
Yes.
Bollinger,
Yes.
Demekis,
Yes.
Holkalter,
Yes.
Coop,
Yes.
Offerdahl,
Yes.
Wagonist.
Yes.
All right.
Motion carries. The next item up is a zone change from C2 to R1 and amendment to the future land use map. So here, a request by Sanford and Gail Slind, owners for a zone change from C2 general commercial to R1 single-family residential district, and a corresponding amendment to the future land use map designation of the comprehensive development plan of the city of Minot from commercial to low density. The property is located, or is described as Rosa subdivision, outlot 15 in section 20, township 155 north, range 82 west, which is located at 811 37th Street Southeast. City will turn over to the staff for the report.
You bet. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a location map. This property is located out here off of East Burdick. Let's say out here because the opposite is East Burdick, but it's located off East Burdick between the 37th and 38th block, 3800 block. You see here it is highlighted. There's a house on this parcel, and it's in the area that's kind of in the transition between commercial zoning along the expressway and then transitioning back into residential. So you see it here on the zoning map, and the owners would like to zone it to residential. It does have a house on it, and as you know, houses or residential uses are now non-conforming uses in commercial zoning. So it has some implications for selling it or refinancing it with lending authorities. Also, if something were to happen, it were to be destroyed, there's some complications with rebuilding if it's a non-conforming use. So it is right on the edge, as you can see, right next to R1 zoning in the neighborhood to the south. So the proposal is to rezone it to yellow, to R1, and also to change the land use plan. Here's the land use plan. Interestingly enough, the house to the north is shown low-density residential for some reason on the land use plan, but this one in highlighted blue would also turn into low-density residential, which is the yellow designation. So findings of fact, complete application. The request is consistent with the comp plan, with the change that we're going to be making. The request meets all the bulk requirements of the zoning ordinance, and it's in character with surrounding zoning and land use. Again, the legal language about public notice requirements and meeting requirements of the Century Code and the City of Minot is in here. And the recommendation, there's no conditions. Staff recommends Planning Commission adopt staff findings of fact, recommend approval of this land use amendment and the rezoning request to the City Council. I'd be glad to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, sir. Any questions for staff? All right, seeing none, we will open the public hearing. Is there anybody who wishes to speak on behalf of this application? Please come forward. Seeing none, is there anybody who wishes to speak on behalf or against this application? Please come forward. All right, seeing none, we will close the public hearing, turn it over to the commission.
Move to approve based on staff recommendations and conditions and findings of fact.
Motion approved based on recommendations, finding of fact from Commissioner Coop.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Offerdahl. Any questions or any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Bauman,
Yes.
Bollinger,
Yes.
Demakis,
Yes.
Holkalter,
Yes.
Coop,
Yes.
Offerdahl,
Yes.
Wagonist.
Yes.
All right.
Motion carries. Final order of business tonight is a zone change from R1 to, excuse me, to MH. This is on a request by Matthew Kramer, owner, for a zone change from R1, single-family residential, to MH, manufactured home district, to locate a manufactured home on property located at 1015 42nd Street Southeast, with a legal description of Shady Dell Addition and a portion of vacated 42nd Street Southeast cul-de-sac. It's an odd legal description. Turn it over to the city staff for the report, please.
Yes, sir. Vicinity map, this property is off 42nd Street Southeast. It's a little bit unique. You can see it looks like it's landlocked in this particular graphic, but there's actually a 20-foot wide access easement that allows access back into this property from 42nd Street. This neighborhood is a mixture of uses, and the applicant called me probably, I don't know, 3 or 4 times over the last 3 years to talk about rezoning this parcel. And it seems like the only interest he's able to drum up is people that have a manufactured home that like to get out of a trailer court where they're paying a high lot rent and have their own piece of property to put it on. Unfortunately, as I explained to him, it can't go on R1, it has to be zoned to MH. And then we get into questions about whether it's appropriate or not, if it's spot zoning, given what's in the neighborhood. The last time he called here recently, he said, you know, I want to run the flag up pole here and see what we can do, if we can get this rezoned, because I have a really good buyer that has a nice manufactured home like to put here, so I want to go for it. So we've taken a look at the neighborhood. The question here, I guess, is whether this would be considered an illegal circumstance of spot zoning. There is a mixture of uses in the neighborhood. There are some manufactured homes. Here's the zoning. You can see it's all R1 directly abutting it. But if you bounce out a little further, there's quite a bit of different things going on. There's industrial, there's commercial, there's some manufactured homes shown in the aqua. So kind of a mixture of things happening. There's also, when we talk about spot zoning isn't illegal per se. It just depends on the particular situation. Just about every zoning is kind of a spot zoning because you're taking a spot of land and rezoning it or not rezoning it. So there are several examples pointed out with the black arrows that may or may not be considered spot zoning. They, as far as I know, were all approved and weren't challenged legally. So the precedent's kind of been set, and there's quite a bit around town, but we want to make sure that we're not doing something that would affect the neighborhood negatively or the other property owners in the neighborhood, and do due diligence that way. This is the land use map. You can see that it contemplates high density, medium density, as well as low density, even abutting the site. And there isn't really medium or high density, except on one of the lots, kind of in the upper right corner, abutting the subject property, there's actually a 5-plex and a 3-plex, and they're on R1 zoning, so they're really higher density than what they should be. Before I go through the findings and stuff, I did, talking with the legal department, they're questioning, this whole thing about spot zoning. We need to make sure that if this is to be approved as an inmate zone, that there's justification from the character of the neighborhood and what's going on out there, that we feel comfortable recommending that. So I took some pictures, Peter and I, the assistant planner, just this afternoon. So disregard the date. The date said it's not right, but just about an hour or so ago, we ran out and took some pictures just so you'd have a little more information for this one. This shows that access easement coming in off of the road, and it's unimproved. It's gravel or, kind of a dirt track, if you will. There it is, zoomed in a little bit. So this is the site tucked in back in behind. This is looking to the east. Those are not manufactured homes. They're single families. Looking to the north, there was a house of some kind on here at one point, I believe, and it was moved off. This is looking to the south. And then the first slide was, of course, looking to the west. This is the property, if you imagine, right behind this house is where we were just looking. The site is tucked in behind this house along 42nd frontage. There are several manufactured homes in the vicinity, not any abutting. There's one fairly close, I'd say, within a few hundred feet. Most of them are a little bit further away than that, but there are several of them existing in the area. Like I said, quite a mixture of land uses. Some of them nicer than others. This is that 3-plex. You see the 3 doors there. It's on R1 zoning, which it really shouldn't be. And right backing up to it is this 5-plex, also on R1 zoning. This is kind of a view of the streets of the area. They're unimproved and they have drainage issues, so it's certainly not a pristine single-family neighborhood that we're proposing to allow a manufactured home to go into. And manufactured homes, even though they may have a stigma to them or whatever, they're an affordable type of housing, and in terms of land use, they are a single manufactured home is similar to any other type of single-family residential in terms of land use impact for traffic and that kind of thing. So these are just some considerations for you, I guess. This is looking across the highway. It's industrial. It's hard to see with the camera. Everything's zoomed out kind of, but there's quite a mixture of things going on in the neighborhood. So, let me back up. There's the site again. There's the access easement coming in. So the applicant has submitted a complete application. Like I said, he's aware of the issues with spot zoning and wanted to take this through and see what happens. The staff feels like that this request could be considered consistent with the comp plan because it is only a single unit in low-density residential, and it's got the multi-density stuff around it on the comp plan, which isn't developed to that. Meets the bulk requirements. We feel like it could be in character with the surrounding mixed-use zoning and the mixture of land uses in the area. It's not a manufactured home park or subdivision with several units. It's just a single manufactured home on a single parcel of land, an opportunity to do some infill on a lot that's kind of a tough lot with just the access easement. I don't know that it's going to develop into single family or not. The owner said the only people that call them have been people that have always had manufactured homes wanting to put one on there. And so over the past 3 years, that's kind of been the story. The Planning Commission has the authority to hear this case and recommend to be approved or denied. This is the posting requirements to meet North Dakota Century Code and Minot City ordinances. So we're recommending that this be approved, recommended to the City Council. I think the challenge is for the Commission to decide if the mixture of land uses and the presence of other manufactured homes in the area and the unique access features and some of the things that are going on with this property would make it a candidate for infill development with a manufactured home, or if not, and of course, if there are people here from the surrounding properties that are concerned about this, that would, I'm sure, weigh in on your decision making as well. So if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Any questions for staff? Commissioner Bauman.
This is actually a question for Assistant Attorney Stahlheim. Is this legal? Are we okay, or are we putting the city at risk for any sort of legal actions?
So Commissioner Bauman and members of the Planning Commission, so spot zoning such as this is not per se illegal. It's only illegal if you lack a reasonable basis for affording that spot zone to this particular neighborhood. So in his staff report, Planner Lang has articulated several reasons why he believes that this would be reasonable to be allowed in that particular area. So the question that the council or the Planning Commission has to ask itself is if it agrees that those are reasonable conditions for allowing a mobile home to go in this particular property that's zoned R1.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Any further questions for staff? All right, seeing none, we will open the public hearing. Is there anybody who wishes to speak on behalf of this application? Please come forward. There's a sign-in sheet there if you put your name and contact information on there, and then please introduce yourself.
It's hard to write while talking, sorry.
No problem.
My name is Matthew Kramer. I'm actually the owner of the land. I purchased the land about 3 years ago in purpose to demolish the house that was on it and build a house, but that kind of fell through. So I wanted to sell it, and as Lance covered, pretty much the only people who have ever been interested in it have been people with already owning manufactured homes that would like to get out of the mobile home park. Mr. Plotz is the first person who's actually been willing to go through this process with me. Everyone else is just like, nah, and begged off. But as you saw on the existing map, there is quite a few mobile home listings all in that area. And I did have a chance last year when this came up to personally talk to all the different neighbors. As many as I found, none of them had any issues with it that I found. So I believe Mr. Plotz had something he wanted to say as far as he's the potential buyer. So.
Any questions? Okay, thanks. We need you. We'll call you on up. Is there anybody else who wishes to speak on behalf of this application? Thank you, sir. Same thing, if you would please put your information down there and give us your name. The floor is yours.
Evening. My name is Larry Plotz, and with me is my wife, Colleen. And I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak to you this evening regarding this matter. My goal is to address the possible rezoning of the property at 1015 42nd Street Southeast. I wish to move my single-wide 16 by 80 manufactured home onto this lot. And as I've kind of heard here said before, I fear that the sentiment about single-wide manufactured homes is that they belong in trailer parks. Unfortunately, people such as Colleen and I are being priced right out of the park. As of January 2020, rent in our park has increased $48 a month. We're now paying $518 a month, and it just keeps going up on us. If granted permission to purchase this lot for our intended purpose, we would realize a savings of approximately $200 a month. We have researched the cost of moving, putting down piers to anchor the trailer, expenses like water, sewer, garbage, the current tax rate, and so forth. With all this in mind, we would be able to take out a 10-year loan to cover the cost of the lot purchase and any moving expenses. And this amount we could save is significant to us and would help my wife and I from continuing to experience what is becoming a financial hardship. The location of the lot is landlocked, as has been said here earlier and shown. Is quite isolated and barely visible to the general public. We have spent time to update our trailer with new siding, windows, doors, new flooring. We've added personal touches to the interior to make this our home. I'm not here to ask you for the rezoning just to move a trailer onto this lot. I'm asking you for consideration so that we can move our home onto this lot. In conclusion, Colleen and I we're simply looking for a place to put our home that we can call our own, and a place where we can avoid the consistent burden of worrying how much the lot rent will increase next year. And I thank you very much for your time and consideration. Any questions?
Sir. Any questions for? Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else who wishes to speak on behalf of the application? Is there anybody who wishes to speak against the application? Please come forward.
Hi, my name is Holly Ebel, and I have the property directly east along the whole length of the property that's in question. We're concerned about going ahead and having a mobile home in the area. There are some in other areas, but in our direct area close by, there aren't any. We don't want to bring down the value of the neighborhood. I guess that's my main concern.
Okay, thank you. Is there any questions for Ms. Ebel? All right. Is there anybody else who wishes to speak either for or against this matter? Please come forward.
My name is Leslie Arney. Myself and my husband own the property that Holly was just talking about, all along the east of the property that they were talking about. When we bought this property 10 years ago, we kind of had in mind to make it a really nice neighborhood, as if whoever was taking the pictures noticed that we put a big garage out there and the whole yard is really nice and fixing it up. And my daughter and her husband are renting from us for the last 10 years, but they are buying in June. And so I just wanted everybody to know what 10 years ago, my husband and I decided that we would like to make this a really nice neighborhood with houses. And I'm just afraid this might start something as far as having trailers and mobile homes in that area. And like my daughter stated, in that direct area, it is just homes.
Ma'am?
Thank you.
Ma'am? Do you own the 3 houses on the east end?
No,
The-
the one long house, the big house with the big garage, a separate garage.
Oh, that'd be on the west.
There was a picture of it when he was showing the pictures.
On the west side.
No,
On 42nd, right?
no, this is 43rd.
Oh,
Our backyard would be next to the backyard that they're talking about, or to the property that they're talking about.
The map, please.
To the map.
Right there. Oops, back one. That, right there. Those aren't houses. That one on the left that you see is,
Yeah, let's continue back to
oh,
the map.
I think that's the only picture.
Can we get the map?
I was trying. I was
It
going the
was
wrong
that
way.
tan one with the brown on it. And what looked like a house is really a detached 30 by 60 garage.
Okay, so
It's a double lot.
The bottom one. No.
it would be the one that's right where the black arrow is.
This one.
Where that
She owns
black
the-
arrow is, where it says
to the-
subject property.
To the left of that black arrow.
To the right. She's on 43rd.
Here's it's like their Arnie right there.
Right here.
And this is the lot
so
that's
it's-
split off.
Well, I guess,
To the left of that black arrow. The big black arrow. I'm thinking it's right here. Right there. These two.
Does anybody on the panel not know what what lots she's talking about? Thank you. All right, we know what you're talking about. Thank you.
did you see that on the one picture that I showed you
I
where
know,
you saw
yes.
the tan? Okay.
These 2 lots.
Is there anybody further who wishes to speak on this application? All right, seeing none, I will close the public hearing and turn it over to the commissioners. Is there anything from the commissioners? Yes, sir.
I have another question, sorry.
Do we need a motion?
This is
Oh,
I'll
sorry.
make a motion to deny the application.
motion by Commissioner Wagnus to deny the application. Is there a second?
I'll second for conversation.
Second by Commissioner Offerdahl. Is there any discussion? Commissioner Baumann.
A question for planning staff. Looking at this lot of land, would a normal single-family home, based on zoning requirements and distance from lot lines, et cetera, would a single-family R1 home fit into this lot area?
It could,
It could.
yeah.
Okay.
It might not be a real large. It would maybe have to be deeper because the lot's so skinny. But it could fit in there.
Okay. Thank you.
Any
Mr.
further
Chairman,
discussion?
Just a point
Wagnus.
on my motion. The reason for my motion, I'm just not a big fan of spot zoning, and I think with the testimony of the neighboring property, I just, that's the reason for my motion to deny. so.
Thank you, Commissioner
I
Wagonis.
just think about if it was my property, would I want this situation, so.
Right, right.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Is there any further discussion? Questions? Commissioner Robin, yes.
I'll add in also for the point of conversation, I think this is a very unique lot of land, and it does not fit into the normal mold of everything around it. So for that reason, I think I'm personally in support of looking at some different options of what we can do with that land. And I'm just offering that out for consideration too.
Sorry, sir, the public hearing is closed. Are there any further questions or discussions on behalf of the commission? All right, seeing none, call the roll, and to be clear, this is a motion to deny, so your yes vote is voting to deny the application. So everybody's clear.
All right. Bauman,
No.
Bollinger,
No.
Demakis,
Yes.
Hochhalter,
Yes.
Coop,
Yes.
Offerdahl,
No.
Wagonist.
Yes.
Okay, so we have 4 yeses to deny and 3 nos.
Motion carries.
So this will go on to city council. I'm not sure the date. If you contact me, I can tell you the next date. There'll be a hearing at the council for the rezoning as well.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I should have made that clear before we started, that we are an advisory board. Our decision is not final. All of these decisions made tonight will be heard by council, and they will take action as they see fit as well.
2 weeks
With
from
that,
yesterday.
we are adjourned.
2 weeks from yesterday.
I gotta remember to do that before each meeting.
Hey Minot, 2020 is the year for more. Yes, it's the U.S. Census season, and with it, Minot could see more. More opportunities for business. More federal funding for roads, for our schools, and for our community. Take part in something more. Take the census. Because for us, more means more. Visit minotnd.org to learn more.